All right, let's jump right into this explainer and unlock the dark fantasy realm of Golachab. Today, we're taking a structured, handbook-style approach to decode a seriously fascinating occult text. We're going to explore the fiery domain of Asmodeus, which is specifically designed for the beginner esoteric researcher. We'll be looking at how the sources describe the intense forces of this realm, transforming what might seem like abstract esoteric concepts into a practical, step-by-step guide you can actually use.
Take a look at Golachab's position right here in that intense red sphere. It sits as the fifth Qliphoth on the Tree of Death. Now, the source material doesn't describe this as a place of light. No way. It is a heavy, magma-filled realm of destructive and purifying fire. It's framed as an energetic space entirely designed to burn away cosmic limitations and literally forge your spirit anew. To make all this complex, esoteric knowledge super accessible, we've structured this explainer as a step-by-step initiate's manual. We'll cover the realm of Golachab, grouping the emissaries' tasks, ignition and ascension, defense and annihilation, comparing those tasks, and finally, a practical attunement meditation guide. Okay, Section 1, the realm of Golachab, the domain of Asmodeus. Moving right along to Section 2, grouping the emissaries' tasks and their practical applications. So let's see how this actually builds into practical application. We can group the 5 emissaries residing here not just as abstract spirits, but as functional, heavy-hitting forces that you can categorize by how they purportedly influence reality. First up, there's the awakening and ignition of your hidden potential. Second, there are forces dedicated to active rebellion, really breaking through those static, everyday limits. And third, there are forces focused strictly on protecting your spiritual core through intense defense and vengeance. We can understand them best by looking at how they interact with these distinct practical goals. Section 3, ignition and active ascension, awakening the flame. All right, let's break down the first 2 emissaries responsible for sparking this intense spiritual fire. First, we have Qliphoth. You can think of this force as the spark. The text defines this emissary as representing spiritual sulfur. Practically speaking, Qliphoth acts as a highly volatile, literally explosive force designed to wake up your hidden potential. The sources describe this as igniting a black flame within the practitioner, using methods of total internal war to jumpstart your spiritual awakening. To attune to Qliphoth, the text's meditation scenario suggests visualizing smoldering ashes suddenly and violently erupting into flame right within your core. Building right on that initial spark, we meet Ophichel, the flaming serpent. If Qliphoth is the spark, Ophichel functions more like a scalpel. This force is described as a piercing beam or a fiery spear. Its specific, practical task is to actively, precisely cut through and destroy the boundaries that are holding you back, allowing for true spiritual ascension. It's a very targeted, upward-moving force. To attune to this specific frequency, you'd visualize a focused beam of fiery red light piercing straight through absolute darkness. Section 4, rebellion, defense, and annihilation. Let's look at chaos and protection. Now we examine the next 3 emissaries, representing forces of chaotic expansion, strict containment, and ultimate destruction. Meet Lahatel, known as the incendiary. Lahatel is the wildfire. Where Ophichel is a focused scalpel, Lahatel is just entirely chaotic. The sources describe this emissary as fueling a literal military rebellion against rigid cosmic laws. Its practical influence is all about expansion, spreading a wild, untamed black fire that flat-out refuses to be contained by any static traditional order. The meditation for Lahatel requires visualizing wild, untamed black flames spreading rapidly and totally uncontrollably outward. On the flip side, we have Charcherel, the shield of fire. Think of this emissary as the firewall. While Lahatel spreads outward in pure chaos, Charcherel acts strictly to contain. The text describes this force as wrapping the practitioner in glowing, red-hot, fiery chains. But hey, these chains aren't for imprisonment. They are a fiercely protective shield designed to defend and isolate your spiritual core from external pressure and any unwanted influences. To attune to Charcherel, you have to visualize glowing, red-hot iron chains forming an absolutely impenetrable circular barrier around you. Finally, wrapping up this group, we have Belial, the all-consuming. The analogy here? A complete nuclear blast. The text positions Belial as coming directly from the throne of Asmodeus itself, serving as the ultimate force of vengeance. Its practical application? Total annihilation. It's the force you call upon to completely obliterate the old world and absolutely any structures that keep the spirit imprisoned.
The attunement imagery for Baliel is absolute, visualizing a blinding, all-consuming furnace of dark fire, just a complete, total annihilation.
Section 5, comparing emissary tasks. Let's look at the dynamic tension here. So, now that we've met the players, the absolutely crucial point is understanding how these intense forces differ in their everyday application. As the manual outlines, you really have to balance Lahatel's expansive, chaotic rebellion with Charcherel's strict defensive containment. You've got the wildfire burning down the external rules on one side and the firewall fiercely protecting your internal state on the other. It's this amazing dynamic tension between attacking the outside and defending the inside.
This handbook table right here perfectly summarizes our 5 emissaries. Honestly, this is exactly the kind of structured overview a beginner researcher needs. Notice the clear progression we've got, from Garfriethel's initial spark of awakening, to Ophiceshel's focused scalpel of ascension, Lahatel's chaotic wildfire of rebellion, Charcherel's protective firewall, all the way down to Balaforatol's nuclear blast of total annihilation. Each has a very distinct energy and a highly specific practical task. Section 6, Attunement Meditation Guide. Time to open the gates. So how does the text actually suggest you interact with these heavy forces? Well, the sources dictate that specific sonic formulas are absolutely essential for opening these energetic pathways. Check out the complex sigils and formulas detailed here. A key phrase mentioned in the text for this specific realm is Dracostophia Qliphothic Golachab. These are considered sonic keys, vibrated by the practitioner to align their consciousness. And while the text provides this general formula to open the realm, true initiates must attune their meditation to the distinct frequency, the spark, the scalpel, the wildfire, of the specific emissary they wish to call upon, exactly as we visualized earlier. The text lays out a highly specific meditation scenario. Step 1 requires you to mentally assume the divine form of Asmodeus. Step 2 involves focusing deeply on physical sensations, specifically heavy plasma-like feelings in your body. Step 3 asks you to enter the realm through the visualization of the fire element, essentially transforming your consciousness into a fire elemental. And step 4 is to actively vibrate that opening formula. Now, the text is crystal clear that this is not some passive visualization. It warns that you will feel intense, undeniable physical sensations. The energy is described as heavy, pressing, plasma-like. Imagine the dense, suffocating heat of a literal furnace. The source even notes that practitioners might experience numbness or muscle spasms. This is framed as a dark alchemy, a literal burning away of human attachments and weaknesses by the roaring fires of Golachab. Which brings us to the ultimate point of this handbook. The sources emphasize that these forces of ignition, rebellion, and annihilation are, at the end of the day, tools. So it leaves us with a profound question to ponder. Once you awaken this chaotic, all-consuming fire of Golachab within yourself, will you use it to blindly destroy, or will you harness that immense power to forge your very own universe? Something to think about for sure. That's all for this explainer. Thanks for hanging out with me as we decoded this fascinating manual.